रेडी? कुछ वर्ड नोट डाउन करेंगे। टू, टू हाई, 2 to 3, too little, too long, too many, too much, all of us, all places, all questions, already, all right, all sorts of, all that is, all those who are, all round, all of them, all circumstances. All I can say is that all the more, all of a sudden, all we want, all I want, all of you, all you can do, all the men, all the same. पीछे वाली लाइट ऑन कर लीजिए, मस्त लाइट ऑन कर लीजिए पीछे। इनके आउटलाइन देख लेंगे एक बारी। ये बी का 1/3 हिस्सा लाइन से ऊपर बनता है ऑल, लाइन में बनता है TOO या फिर TWO। ये सेंटेंस की सेंस से निकलता है, वर्ड के साथ अटैचमेंट से निकलता है कि कौन से वाला टू यूज किया गया है, TWO यूज किया गया है या फिर TWO। अब टू हाई है तो कौन सा हाई होगा? तो कौन? टू हाई। 2 to 3, 2 to 3, 2 and 3, अंतर देख लेना। 2 and 3, 2 to 3 एक साथ लिखा हुआ है, क्या पढ़ेंगे इसको? 2 to 3, और इसको पढ़ेंगे 2 and 3। टू लिटिल, कौन सा टू होगा? TOO वाला, TOO वाला। टू लॉन्ग, too many, too much, सिर्फ इसको छोड़ के बाकी सब में जो टू यूज किया गया है TOO वाला यूज किया गया। ऑल ऑफ अस, आप चाहो तो उसके लिए डैश से काट सकते हो। ऑल प्लेसेस, लार्ज सर्कल कर देना प्लेसेस का। क्वेश्चन को हम ऐसे लिखते हैं, शॉर्ट फॉर्म होती है, आपने लिखना ऑल क्वेश्चंस, बड़ा कर देंगे। ऑलरेडी, all sorts of, all that is, all those who are, all round। अगर all around, अगर राउंड आता है, all of them, all circumstances, all I can say is that, all I can say is that। यह सर्कल को बड़ा कर सकते हो ताकि से प्लस इज प्लस दैट पढ़ा जा सके, या फिर आप ऑल आई कैन को ऐसे बना सकते हो। ऑल द मोर, एम लगाएंगे, इस मार्क को नहीं दिखेगा। ऑल ऑफ ए सडन, एस और डी में एन का हुक। ऑल वी वांट, ऑल आई वांट, ऑल ऑफ यू, या फिर आप इसको ऐसे बना सकते हो, ऑल यू कैन डू, ऑल द मैन, सेकेंड प्लेस पे डॉट लगा देंगे हल्का, MEN प्लूरल हो जाएगा, ऑल द सेम। मोस्टली ऑल के साथ जो आएंगे वो प्लूरल वर्ड्स ही आते हैं ज़्यादा। लिखेंगे एक बार क्विकली, टू, टू हाई, टू टू थ्री, टू एंड थ्री, टू लिटिल, टू लॉन्ग, टू मैनी, टू मच, all of us, all places, all questions, already, all right नहीं बताया मैंने आपको, ऑल बनाएंगे और आर को हाफ कर देंगे, या तो एक तरीका ये है, या फिर आप ऑल राइट को पूरा ही बना सकते हो, या फिर एक वर्ड आता है ऑल राइट, यहां पे डॉट पुट कर लेना ऊपर। ऑल राइट को दोनों तरह से लिखा जाता है, ज्वाइंट करके भी लिखा जाता है और डिसज्वाइंट करके भी लिखा जाता है, दोनों ठीक माना जाता है। जब ज्वाइंट करके लिखते हो एक एल कम कर देते हैं उसके अंदर, ज्वाइंट डिसज्वाइंट। हम मोस्टली डिसज्वाइंट यूज करते हैं, हम वर्ड काउंट का बड़ा ध्यान रखते हैं, परसेंट वगैरह में भी, हर चीज के अंदर, ताकि वर्ड काउंट कम ना हो। ऑल राइट, ऑल शॉर्ट्स ऑफ, all that is, all those who are, all round, all of them, all circumstances, all I can say is that, all the more, all of a sudden, all we want, all I want, all of you, all you can do, all the men, all the same। डिक्टेशन लिखेंगे पहले हाई पे और फिर लो पे। जो डिक्टेशन होगी वो आपकी टेस्ट होगा उसका 62, YouTube@100 SSC C D ग्रेड टेस्ट, और दूसरा होगा 80 पे। थर्ड लिखेंगे सीन, और यूआरएल सेम है आपका 3P वाले में, जिसमें आपको टाइप करना है। लिखो, start it। Madam Deputy Chairman, I rise to participate in this discussion not with a view to ventilate particular grievances or to secure concessions and relief in the taxation measures. I am one of those who believe that there is no justification for additional taxation unless the conditions laid down by the Taxation Inquiry Commission are complied with. It was a commission presided over by no less a person than Dr. John Mathai, one of our illustrious finance ministers, and it laid down that there was no justification for any additional taxation unless we complied with 2 or 3 conditions. One condition was that whatever tax was realized was being properly spent, that there was no wastage or superfluous expenditure being incurred. The Commission had pointed out that out of every rupee that was being raised by the government, 60 paise were being spent on administration and about 20 paise were being spent on social services including education, etc., and the balance for other things. Another was that whatever tax was being imposed should be realized before we brought out measures for fresh taxation. They also had suggested that there was sufficient room for economy in all the ministries and departments, and effective steps should be taken forthwith to enforce the maximum possible economy in government expenditure. Now we have before us this audit report for 2011-12, which was presented to the Lok Sabha on the 16th June and which came to my hands last night, and I have not been able to study it. I find that during the last 5 years, we have imposed additional taxation, and at the same time, our revenue expenditure has gone up by about rupees 42 crores. So, on the one hand, we say that we are raising this money, these taxes, for the implementation of the plan, and for that reason, every chief minister and ministers go about saying that we want money for the implementation of the plan. But what are the facts? We find that the money that has been raised is being used for administrative purposes. So, it is not correct to say that. On the other hand, it is not proper, because you must know that no plan, however well balanced and well thought out it may be, can be implemented in a democratic setup unless you can enthuse the people. We have been depending either on foreign aid or on indirect taxation or deficit financing, and more than once I have pointed out that these measures will not help to enthuse the people, and unless the people are enthused, we will not have any successful results so far as planning is concerned. Now, it is necessary, it is time that we should take stock of the situation, for we have had 54 years of freedom and 52 years of democratic rule and of planned economy. What are the results? I am not one of those who minimize our achievements. We have had some achievements which are remarkable, of which we can be proud. We have had 3 general elections and we can be proud of all this. But it is equally true that the expectations of the people remain mostly unfulfilled. They remain unrealized. What are the expectations of the people? They wanted an adequate supply of drinking water. They wanted a little more wholesome food in their stomachs, a little more cloth on their bodies, a stronger roof over their heads, freedom from the clutches of the corrupt officials and the grabbing intermediaries, and speedier justice. But what have we done? Have we been able to satisfy those expectations? I can say no. Even in the 11th 5-year plan, we find that all the villages have not been provided with adequate supply of drinking water. And as for food, only the other day, the finance minister himself admitted in the other house that there was adulteration of foodstuffs all round. Not only that, a former health minister admitted in this house that it was difficult to get any article of food unadulterated. Then what is the use of talking about pure food articles and of other health facilities when the people are getting articles which are as good as poison? They are injurious to health. The other day, the finance minister is reported to have said that the taxation proposals did not affect the common man because he needed only coarse cloth and ordinary food. During the last 5 years, we have raised rupees 424 crores more. Including the taxation measures this year, the increase in revenue will be about 75%. Since 2006, we have raised additional taxation to the tune of 75%, and during the 5 years preceding this year, the revenue expenditure has gone up by 85%. I would like to know how much of this amount has gone towards developmental expenditure and towards social services. Mr. Vice Chairman, sir, it was felt for a long time that the Limitation Act of 1908, which had certain amendments, deserved reconsideration in all its aspects. With this object in view, not only regarding this act, but regarding all the acts that are at present in force, after independence, we appointed a law commission to revise all our laws. Sir, the law commission went into this matter in very great detail and referring to certain basic principles that have been adopted and certain amendments that have been suggested by the Commission of Revision appointed in the United Kingdom. They have gone through the whole enactment and suggested certain modifications not only in sections but also in articles. I am very glad that the Law Ministry has brought forward the bill on the basis, as the Deputy Law Minister has pointed out, that they have not followed the recommendations of the Law Commission, but in general they have adopted the recommendations of the Law Commission in most of its aspects. Sir, as this matter is to be entrusted to the Joint Committee of both the Houses, it will have the benefit of the deliberations of all those members who are in the Select Committee, and so, generally speaking, neither is this the occasion nor the practice to go into details, but we can just suggest certain general matters so that the Select Committee may take them into consideration while deliberating in detail on the different provisions of this bill. 100 की स्पीड है, 1050 के आसपास वर्ड है, 40+, और ये आपको SSC C D टेस्ट नंबर 62 YouTube@100 से मिल जाएगा। URL आपका ये है 3pprogramme.steno18.in। 80 भी लिखेंगे। Started. The Planning Commission has repeatedly emphasized in its 10th plan report the importance of ensuring that the backward classes get adequate benefit from the general progress, and that the special programs financed from plan provision should not be used as substitute for the measures necessary to enable these classes to get due advantage from the general progress. But no attempt is, however, made in the midterm appraisal to assess how far this recommendation of the Planning Commission was effectively implemented by the central and the state governments. There is reason to believe that, as before, adequate benefits did not accrue to the backward classes from the general progress. No doubt, some significant progress has been made in the field of education. But here too, shortfalls are very glaring. Our speed in the direction of literacy has not kept pace with the increase of our population, and today there are more illiterates in India than there were in 1951. The midterm appraisal itself confesses that the standard of education both at the primary and at the secondary stages has gone down. There has been no improvement so far as the discipline of students is concerned. No attempt whatever has so far been made to cultivate in the students the democratic spirit, to educate them in the art of democratic citizenship, to befit them for discharging their duties as democratic citizens. Despite the recommendations of the Radhakrishnan University Education Commission and of the Modular Secondary Education Commission, the social ideals of education are yet to be determined by this government, and attempts are yet to be made to reorientate our educational system on the basis of those social ideals. The directive principles of state policy required that by January 1961, provision for free and compulsory education for all children up to the age of 14 was to be made by the state. I do not know if even by the end of the 11th five-year plan, it would be possible for us to provide free and compulsory education to all children up to the age of 14. It is but obvious that in the last 2 years, we have not made any significant progress in achieving the social objectives of the Constitution laid down in the directive principles. It might be maintained that I have enlarged the scope of the special objectives. The Planning Commission had no business to limit the scope of the social objectives of the Constitution. It has only to implement the directives for the state. Secondly, I wish to point out that in the 10th five-year plan, special attention was invited to 3 objectives. First, as citizens, men and women equally have the right to educate means of livelihood. Second, the ownership and control of the material resources of the community are so distributed as best to subserve the common good. And third, the operation of the economic system does not result in the concentration of wealth and means of production to the common detriment. I beg to submit, Madam, that no progress whatever has been made even in regard to these three social objectives chosen by the Planning Commission for its special consideration in the 10th five-year plan report. Madam, I may point out that the directive principles of state policy also require the state to pay special attention to the promotion of cottage and rural industries, and even in the 10th five-year plan report, considerable stress was laid on this matter. But have we really made any significant achievement even in this matter? The midterm appraisal confesses that there has been a certain decline in the production of gur and khansari and vegetable oils. In great many other village industries, relatively a marginal increase is reported. The production of handloom, cloth and khadi no doubt showed a sizable increase, but at the same time, production is estimated to fall short of the plan target at the end of the sixth plan period by about 100 to 150 million meters in the case of handloom, cloth, and 50 to 60 million meters in the case of khadi. It is admitted in the midterm appraisal that small industries and industrial estates generally suffered for want of certain raw materials, especially since the onset of emergency. I beg to submit, Madam, that while our government claims to be imbued with the spirit of Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation, and claims to stand for the promotion of small-scale industries, cottage and rural industries as required by the father of the nation, this government is according step motherly treatment to the cottage and rural industries as well as to other small-scale industries. Take the case of gur and khansari. Sometimes the government becomes very enthusiastic about promoting khansari. Sometimes all sorts of restrictions are imposed on the production of gur and khansari. The Defense of India rules were used to regulate the supply of sugarcane for producing gur and khansari. ये आपको SSC C&D ग्रेड टेस्ट नंबर 62 80 की स्पीड से मिलेगा विद कोमा. 800 प्लस वर्ड से 80 की स्पीड है. 3 कंटेंट लिखेंगे. Ready? Start it. In conclusion, I would like to say a word in regard to employment with which I have been dealing so far. According to the figures supplied, the number of displaced persons from Bangladesh employed through employment exchanges is only 37,000. This is very meager compared with their total number, which comes to 32 lakhs according to the official figures. This is with regard to Bangladesh refugees. The number of displaced persons from Pakistan employed through employment exchanges is not very encouraging, but still it is 75,000. I would urge upon the Honorable Minister to take this into consideration and see that something is done to find employment for these people. Of course, there is some expenditure incurred on general education and vocational training, but when we look at the number of persons who have been given vocational training, we find that the number already trained and under training is only 17,000. This figure also seems to be very small, considering the magnitude of the problem before us. Some programs of general improvement have been undertaken by the government of West Bengal by way of setting up new industries, etc. These programs should be looked into and put into operation with a view to giving more employment to these displaced persons. Within the limited time at my disposal, I shall limit my remarks to refugees from Bangladesh. The first thing which strikes one as one looks at the various brochures and publications that have been given to us is the amount of contradiction one has to battle against. The first contradiction is in regard to the number of persons government think they have rehabilitated in West Bengal. Granting that it is difficult to make a final assessment of the number of refugees who have come from Bangladesh, it is still true to say that at least there should be some sort of parity between what the Union Ministry says and what the West Bengal Rehabilitation Ministry says. Only a few days ago, the West Bengal Ministry of Rehabilitation said that there are 22 lakhs of refugees who have to be rehabilitated, but the central government's figures are 31 lakhs. Unless the government know the number of people they have to budget for, it is rather bewildering to know how they mean to plan in bringing about their rehabilitation. As a matter of fact, Many other sources believe that the figure is far higher, but in any case, there should be some parity and some idea as to the extent of the rehabilitation problem which still remains before the people of West Bengal. The other contradiction is this. On the one hand, Srimati Renuka Ray says that in the near future they will be making a successful completion of the work of economic rehabilitation of refugees in that state, but only last year Sri A.P. Jain said that as yet the problem of the displaced persons from Bangladesh was a matter which was giving some concern. I really do not understand why, in spite of Sri A.P. Jain recognizing that the problem is still quite serious, Srimati Renuka Ray should have made such a statement. Yet, when we hear the Honorable Finance Minister, we find that there has been a big shortfall in rehabilitation budget. I think that if the fact-finding committee's report had been published, the assessment that we have rehabilitated about 50% of the people of Bangladesh who came over as displaced persons would have become quite clear in regard to its incorrectness. As a matter of fact, when we went round the camps and colonies in West Bengal, we found that as yet not more than 15% of the people have been rehabilitated in the sense that they are able to eke out their subsistence on the poorest levels. It is not more than 15%, and I think the figures of the fact-finding committee are still lower. I think this is something that we have to take very seriously and put our minds to and apply all the resources that we have to find out how we will be able to tackle this problem of rehabilitation. Now, coming to the question of relief, I feel that until we are able to give really proper rehabilitation, we cannot withdraw relief. It is no use arguing whether relief leads to lethargy and moral slackness. Unless our rehabilitation policies are fruitful, have we any right to starve the people to death? As a matter of fact, Sri A.P. Jain may know that in West Bengal, the incidence of tuberculosis amongst the refugee population is very high. Only a small percentage of them is catered for by the medical relief given by the Directorate of Rehabilitation. If I am to tell you the tragic fate of the refugees in West Bengal, I would refer you to a report which appeared in February 2004. ये केसी का 8 नंबर है। आप इसको सीन कंटेंट में टाइप कर सकते हो, विद कोमा नो कोमा, 2 ऑप्शन होंगे इसके अंदर फाइल के अंदर। आप अगर नो कोमा टाइप करना चाहते हो तो नो कोमा वाली फाइल सेलेक्ट करेंगे, और विद कोमा चाहते हो विद कोमा के साथ टाइप कर सकते हो। 80 की स्पीड है।